Hi, and welcome to a special edition of the Computer Weekly Downtime Upload podcast. My guest today is Rene Buest from Gartner, and the topic of the conversation is Neoclouds. Rene, would you like to introduce yourself, please?
Yeah, sure. Thanks, Cliff, and thanks for having me. So, yeah, my name is Rene Buest. With Gartner for almost 8 years. Based in here in Berlin, Germany, and yeah, my core focus research areas are cloud and digital sovereignty.
Okay, so I've got a number of questions I'd like to ask you. Uh, Now, they don't mention cloud and digital sovereignty, but I guess when I bring up the topic, which is Neoclouds, it's all about cloud. It's all about digital sovereignty. So the first one is, what do Neoclouds offer enterprise IT decision makers that was not possible before?
Mm. It's a good question. I think it's perhaps good to start with what neocloud providers actually are, because this somehow also answers the question, what they offer and what's possible today, what was not possible before. So Gartner defines neocloud providers as kind of special infrastructure providers that focus exclusively on purpose-built infrastructure, so based on GPUs particularly for AI workloads. Yeah, and what they can do with that is that they can rapidly scale dedicated GPU clusters. They have worked on optimizing their networks for low latency training. And most importantly, they are also providing pre-integrated and pre-configured developer-friendly platforms, which are very much tailored to specific AI workloads. So what does it mean? Because if you look at the market right now, especially in terms of cloud, there are three core things that these IT decision makers are really struggling with. So one thing is they are grappling with the escalating cloud cost, and
Mm.
particularly with or for AI workloads. Yeah, actually AI makes everything more expensive, also more complex.
Yes, it does. Yes, it does. What was it? I was looking up this, and it's funny, isn't it, when you say, well, for the last few years we've been trying to manage cost, and then AI has come along, not magically come along, but it's come along, and everyone's budget has increased. I was speaking to your colleague, John David Lovelock, and he was talking about how a massive cost in IT infrastructure spend over the next few years, and that's phenomenal. You would not have predicted that, I guess, a few years ago, before the AA hype came along. But anyway, sorry, I interrupted you. Please carry on.
So, but as a result, for that issue, they're actually looking for cloud solutions that offer more predictable pricing. Because if you are looking at it from a hyperscaler standpoint, yes, they of course are very transparent in terms of their pricing model, so pay as you go. But at the end of the month, you don't really know what you will really pay. Yeah, so it's very unpredictable, and those new clouds are trying to have a more predictable pricing. The second issue is, the growing geopolitical risk. Yeah, this is one of the other key reasons why um, they are also turning to more kind of local cloud providers, so local neo cloud providers. Because if you are heavily reliant on, let's say, a dominant hyperscaler, that can be very risky. And as a result, they are, and this is what comes up in more and more, Gartner client conversation, is they are really starting to make a strategic shift towards, diversifying their strategies and work more with sovereign cloud solutions or even local infrastructure alternatives.
Mm.
Yeah.
So sorry, Rene. I mean, you've been at Gartner. Was it 8 years? You said, was it 8 years? 8 years. Now, I mean, in the conversations you've had with IT leaders, and these are people like, with a job title like CIO, so they're very, very senior people. How has the conversation changed in terms of what they have been asking for before, in the past with IT infrastructure? What have they been asking about? When I was writing about this stuff 8 years ago, it was private cloud versus public cloud, possibly we were talking about multi-cloud and hybrid cloud, and certainly, but th- there wasn't, for me at least, much in the way of a conversation around sovereignty.
No, not at all. So this discussion has started, well, in my conversations in end of 24. Yeah,
Mm.
but it has then really started in January 25. And throughout 2025, I would say that nearly 90% of my Gartner inquiries with end user customers was only about this topic.
Mm.
So the concerns have really increased because they really don't know what they should do, how the world will look like tomorrow, for example, and they just wanted to balance the risks. So, and one piece of the risk management is to evaluate other types of providers that can offer a higher level of sovereignty, or a level of sovereignty that their so far preferred providers, which mainly are or were the hyperscalers, could not really provide.
Mm. I mean, how did Neoclouds come about? I mean, I've read somewhere that there's a link with the Bitcoin miners. Did you hear that one?
No, tell me.
It was a financial analyst who was looking at CoreWeave's strategy. CoreWeave is a Neocloud provider, and apparently one of the things that CoreWeave has been doing is taking capacity from Bitcoin miners who have bought lots and lots of GPUs, and now, because of the way crypto is working, it's not working that well for them, and the AI acceleration, the GPU as a service, or whatever you want to call it, is where the money is at. And I think they've kind of found that as a resource that they can then take advantage of and buy into.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, absolutely. I haven't heard about that, but that totally makes sense because if you have these vast, rapidly scaling infrastructure that you actually will have used for Bitcoin mining, it's absolutely the perfect scenario, the perfect case to use it for an AI workload because AI also needs vast amount of infrastructure for the compute. But this is also then another thing where we see that IT decision makers can benefit from, because if you also look at this burden that comes with configuring and managing those complex AI workloads or AI stacks, yeah, this is
Mm.
also where Neoclouds are then providing an environment that didn't exist before. Yeah, so that means the IT decision makers are looking for providers that offer kind of a higher level of so-called managed services, which are
Mm.
also able to abstract away this infrastructure complexity. Because one thing is to have, of course, these huge scaling GPU infrastructure, but you also need to have kind of an middleware, let's call it a middleware or an abstraction layer on top of that,
Mm.
that allows them or allows their developers to really focus on building an AI applications. So taking the burden away from managing this infrastructure.
I guess that goes back to, and this is my final question to you, but it becomes a bit confusing because you have choices, and what you just described, making it easy for the developers to create AI applications on this infrastructure, is something that the hyperscalers do very well. They offer that as a service. That's how they built up that's their new go to market GPU. We can do this for you. We do AI. That's what they say they do. And my question is about whether there is whether Neoclouds are going to be viable long term.
Yeah. Well, yes and no. So first of all, what Gartner has observed is that neoclouds are actually able to deliver up to 70% of cost savings and also near instant direct access to those advanced GPUs. Yeah. And we also see that in doing so, they are outpacing the hyperscalers in speed, transparency, and even in integration because they are very niche. So they are really focusing on this particular use case. So I also like to call them somehow those one-trick ponies because this is what they are doing, providing purpose-built infrastructure for AI workloads, which is, of course, a good thing because they offer a real kind of benefit from that perspective to their customers. But on the other hand, it's of course a future bet. Yeah. So the demand for AI has to increase dramatically, so that their business model is also very viable in the long term, because they have done and still doing huge investments. And so that means this AI demand is really, really necessary, because, as I said, the only thing they can do is providing this type of infrastructure, and where then the hyperscalers or other cloud providers really have advantages is that they can also offer, well, infrastructure or cloud environments for other types of workloads and use cases. Because one thing is also clear, that, of course, organizations are very interested in AI and they need those environments, but they also have, other things on their table from an IT perspective, where they don't need an Neocloud environment for AI, but where they just need to lift and shift some other types of workloads that needs to run on a cloud.
Well, thank you very much, Rene, and thank you very much for tuning in. Goodbye.